Welcome to Crafting with You. If you watch my other videos, I'm sure you noticed something different about this one right away. Yes, I'm talking in this video. The instructions for this project was a little more involved, so speaking to you is a lot easier than typing out everything. Today's project is a keyhole scarf made with loop yarn. Keyholes are awesome in scarves because all you do is take one end of the scarf and you thread it through the keyhole, just like this. And it holds the tail end of your scarf very securely, like this. This project is perfect for a lot of people since you don't need to know how to crochet or knit. All you need is the yarn and your fingers. I prefer the quality and color choice from this brand, but there's several brands to choose from. I also included Fringe on the end of my scarf, right here. So if you want to include it on yours, I've included it as an option in the instructions. So let's get started. Using a measuring tape or a piece of string, determine how long you want your scarf to be. For keyhole scarves, I like it to be a little shorter than normal scarves. So around here is good for me. So this right here will be your measurement A. Next, determine where your keyhole will be located. I like my keyhole was about here. So starting with one end, measure along to where your keyhole is to be located. So I like mine right about here. So this will be your measurement B. Start with your loops facing upwards because that makes it easier to work with this yarn. From the end, you're going to count in 1, 2 loops. This will be the yarn that you weave in at the end to ensure your scarf doesn't unravel. Now you have to determine how wide you want your scarf to be. Mine is going to be 9 loops long, and with this colored yarn in this brand, because I find that the different colors, the thickness is slightly different. 9 loops works out to about 7 inches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 loops. This will be your foundation row. This is loop number 9. You're going to lift this loop up, take the next loop, place it behind, thread it through the hole, and pull up. Repeat this with all the other loops in the row. To make your looping easier, I suggest for the next row and for every row that follows, always lay out your yarn so that all the loops face upwards. You might miss a loop if they're facing up and down. So this is the next loop in the chain, and here goes the loop number 8. Thread through, thread through, thread through. You're going to repeat this until you get to the first loop, which is right here, because don't forget, we skipped these 2 loops. Okay, we're at the last one. This is the first loop in the row. So here we go. You're done. Now it looks a bit messy, so what I like to do with every row when I'm done is I'd like to pull up on all the loops like this so that you're ensuring that they're all tight. Okay, that's your first row. To start your next row, it's the same process. Instead of going this way, you'll now be going this way. This is the first loop in this row. This is the next loop. Go ahead and thread it through the back and up. Repeat with all the loops in the row like we did in the previous row. Done. Pull up. Here you go. Now you're going to repeat this until you reach measurement B. So now if you've looped enough rows to get to measurement B, you're going to start your keyhole. The keyhole is going to be only 3 loops wide, so you're going to count in and get to the middle and count in the 3 loops. You're going to loop the first loops in your row, just like normal. Now when you get to the first of the 3 loops that are going to be your keyhole. You're not going to loop at all. You're going to loop within these 3. Take the first loop and the second loop. You're going to thread this second loop through this first loop. Like this. Then you repeat. Take this loop, thread through here. Take this loop and thread once more. Now you have this loop. For the row that's up here, you're going to count out 1, 2, 3, your 4th loop. Now you're going to start looping like normal. Back, through, out the front. Next loop, thread through, back, front, and the last loop in your row. This, and then pull all the loops upwards. You have your keyhole, and you still have your same number, 9 loops. Next row, you're going to loop as normal. Okay, when you're done, pull all the loops up. And look, you have a keyhole. Now you're going to keep looping until you get to the end of measurement of your scarf, which is measurement A. To bind off or finish your scarf, you're going to start on the end that is the opposite end of your tail yarn. Start with the first loop. You're going to thread this second loop through the first. Again, thread the second loop through the first. Thread the second loop through the first. And continue till you come to the end of the row. Okay, you're at the end of the row and it's completely bound off. Then you're going to count 1, 2 loops and you'll be cutting at this end right here. To even the ends, these 2 loops that we first skipped over in the beginning, we need to cut the loops at these points to make this one continuous long piece of yarn. So if you look closely and you spread apart the loop at the base where they meet, there's a little piece of string right there, and that's what holds these together. You need to cut that with scissors, and you have to be careful though. So let's see if I can do this on camera well. Let's see. That, scissors, and it releases like this. We're going to do that with this next one. And release. So you have one long piece of string. We'll be weaving in this tail on the wrong side or the back side of the scarf. So turn it over and take the string or yarn and just weave it in strategic spots. It doesn't have to be perfect. Just make sure that since like this is a darker section, if you go through here, it might show on the front. So you might want to go through this row. Okay, and that's actually good enough. It'll stay secure. So there you go, and when you look on the other side, you don't even see it. If you'd like to add fringe to the beginning and end of your scarf, this is how you're going to do it. First, start with 1, 2 loops. Those are going to be your weave-in ends. Count out the number of loops wide your scarf is going to be. Since mine was 9 loops long, wide, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Then you're going to count out 9 more loops. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And this will be the start of your foundation row. To add fringe to the beginning point of our scarf, these are the loops that we skipped over in the beginning. We're going to be weaving these through or threading these through the base of our scarf. Take your first loop here. You're going to go from back to front. Go behind your scarf and pull through a loop. Take your next loop, and at this point you can go every 2 yarns. Pull through, next loop, pull through, and keep going. Be sure not to weave in these last 2 loops. These are the tails that we're going to weave in. So when all 9 are through, you're going to want to pull down on each loop to make sure they're securely in. And when you're done, there you go. You have fringe on the beginning point of your scarf. To finish the scarf, leave the loops as is at the end. You will count out 1, 2 loops at the end, cut right at this point, and then you'll weave the ends in, and you're done. The stitch style featured in today's video is a basic pull through the loop, but there are many stitch styles available. Here are 2 scarves that I've made. This is a zigzag pattern, and this one is a zigzag straight, zigzag straight. I feel adding different types of stitches provides a really pretty look as well as texture to the scarf. Since I know you've all mastered the basic stitch after watching this video, why don't you give a different stitch style a try for your next scarf? Thanks for joining me today, and I'll see you next time on Crafting with You.